Hey everybody, and welcome back to Tap That Travels. We are so excited to be doing this video. It's our recap from Carnival's first ever adults only cruise. You do not want to miss it, so stick around till the end. Okay, so what could be better than a Carnival cruise to the ABC Islands? No kids on the cruise with all of the adults. That, my friends, is how it could be better. Ignore the fan. It is going to be cut off. It's very slow to stop. I'm so sorry. I'm going to go ahead and apologize because I have been extremely busy. We've all been extremely busy. When we got back from the adults only cruise, it was kind of like our little last hurrah before I started a new job. Yes. And I was so sick the first week of my new job. Oh, I'm still coughing some and just now getting over that, so bear with me in this video. But y'all, we are going to hit the pros and the cons to Carnival's first ever adults only cruise. It left out August 22nd and it was 9 days. Let's start with the pros. It took 5 minutes to get onto the ship. 5 minutes, y'all. Do you know why? And let me preface this video with, we have 2 children. Y'all have seen them in our videos. We love our kids. Wonderful. We like taking them on trips with us. But sometimes adults have to adult. You know, like we have to do adult things. So many times throughout this video, I'm probably going to say it was wonderful because there were no kids. But just know, yes, I love my children, but sometimes parents gotta have a break. You know what I mean? We gotta have a break sometimes. First of all, smooth onboarding process, no tantrums, no strollers, no crying, no aggravated parents, just quietness. And people boarding the boat very excited for the first ever Carnival adults only cruise. Once we got on the boat, mustering was really easy. Throughout the cruise, there's no sticky fingers, you know, on the elevator buttons, or, you know, kids trying to trip you while you're trying to get to the buffet, or kids like throwing food on the floor. Just, I think this made for an all-around, more enjoyable cruise in every spot and aspect of the ship, because people were just always having the best time. You know, there was a little bit more drinking going on because people weren't babysitting their children. It's all around the whole time, people having a great time. It wasn't loud all the time. I mean, if it was boisterous, it was because there were adults that were playing music, having fun, dancing, doing parties, getting excited in the casino. We will get to that in a moment, okay? Just hold up, okay? What's another thing we loved about the cruise is the ABC Islands. The itinerary of this cruise was romantic, extremely appropriate for a couple, or a bucket list item for even a single cruiser. If you've never been to the ABC Islands, we're going to do another video on the ABC Islands, just the ABC Islands by themselves. A lot of times when Carnival and other cruise lines take this itinerary, they skip Bonaire. Bonaire was, if the weather would have been a little bit better, it probably would have been my favorite. It's very underdeveloped. But anyways, check out our ABC Island video that we're going to be doing soon, okay? Another positive to the adults only cruise is they do, some nights have different theming, or like they did an 80s night, a 90s night, early 2000s in the club. Like, we're getting older, y'all. That's when you know. That's when you know you're getting older, when the club starts playing 90s, early 2000s night. And they like skipped 70s night altogether. Do you remember when it was 70s night, 80s night, Okay, now it's 80s night, 90s night, early 2000s. Blew my mind, y'all. Blew my mind. But we had a great time. You're going to see some club footage in our video. It was so fun. The only bad thing about this cruise and the theme nights and parties and things that I really expected Carnival to change or allow is Quest. Okay, so they did an adult game night that's similar to Quest, but many people complained about it. We ended up not being able to make it because where they did it, in the lounge that they did it in, was so crowded. I think people were really expecting it to be more like Quest, and if you've never been to a Quest on a ship, to, you know, Carnival's Quest, I think Royal Caribbean we did Quest on Royal Caribbean too. Those are like adults only game, 18 and older, and it gets wild. But Carnival's did away with those. Okay, so Carnival doesn't do wild anymore, you know, which is kind of funny. Carnival used to really make themselves out to be the fun ship, right? The family fun ship, right? And then I think Carnival kind of went through this period of like being labeled like the subpar, but like booze cruisy type ship. I think that really got to their head a little bit. I think Carnival decided, you know what, we want to totally ditch that and we'll do some adults only cruises, but we're going to try to make them a little bit more like upscale, because they didn't bring back things like Quest, you know, things that like would have been really fun for an adults only cruise. So even though, you know, like the theming and the fun game nights and stuff was a highlight or a pro, that also could be put into the con list as well. We had Robbie as our cruise director, and he was phenomenal. Okay, we've also been on the Jubilee where we had Kindle Fire. Robbie and Kindle Fire both wonderful. Robbie did like a Q&A, ask the cruise director type thing, and that was excellent. I would highly recommend going to those. Your cruise director on an adults only cruise especially could like make or break the cruise, and y'all, he did a fantastic job. I will insert footage, okay, here, hopefully, of him dancing on the Backstreet Boys versus NSYNC night in the lobby. Phenomenal. It was so much fun. He did a great job. One of the pros to going on Carnival's adults only cruises, especially the first 4 that they did, was the casino offer. They paid us to go on this cruise. If you didn't watch my video where I got super hyped up about going on this first ever adults only cruise, go check that out before you check this out, okay? Because it's going to get you crunk, all right? It's going to get you ready. If someone's going to pay me to take a cruise, we're talking free drinks all over the ship, $2,000 in free play. We did get an interior room, so we could each have the $1,000 in free play instead of $200 each in free play. With the balcony room, we don't care about having a balcony room. It's nice, but the interior was just fine for that amount of money. We played so much on that amount of money. We got a couple hand pays on this cruise, y'all. The casino, oh my gosh, we had a blast. They paid us to go. Not to mention, it was totally free, except for taxes and port fees, which was about $300. Then they gave us a $200 onboard credit, y'all. How do you beat that? You can't. You can't beat that. You can't go eat for 9 days for 2 people, much less buy the alcohol and go visit the ABC Islands for $300 plus $200 on board credit. Like, you just can't do it. It's impossible. You can't even buy food like for that much, okay? Another pro on this cruise was the food. They had specialty dining menus. We actually got upgraded to the like special dining, where it was a curated menu where you had like more steak and lobster and stuff like that. But that was really fun. I thought the food on this cruise was excellent. We actually talked to, I forget what he's called, but he's like the head of getting the menu together and all of that. Not like the executive chef, but he's over like all the planning for the ship. And he was very adamant on like wanting to know our opinion on how we liked the food. And y'all, I thought the food was amazing. Check out our video on the cruise itself so you can see our food that we had every night and basically get a glimpse of that. Let's move over to the cons, okay? Womp womp, right? Okay, so biggest con on Carnival's first ever adults only cruise is the biggest letdown because we were promised more games, okay? So they did. They put in a few extra slot machines and they moved out a couple couches and put a couple more tables in. Not enough. Carnival hugely underestimated the gamblers or their gambling passengers that they invited on this cruise. This cruise was mostly made up of casino offers and bingo offers. Yes, they do bingo offers. I did not even know that was a thing, but apparently if you play bingo a couple times on a ship or even just once, you may get a bingo offer. Okay? Carnival, you let me down. People were standing 2, 3, and 4 people behind chairs to wait on some machines. People were spending hours on one machine at a time because you knew you couldn't get up and move to another one because it wouldn't be available. Carnival highly underestimated their gambling passengers. And Carnival, if you're going to invite a bunch of gamblers on an adults only cruise, like they like to drink, they like to gamble, and they like to eat, so the math wasn't mathing, something really didn't add up. Whoever planned that did not do a very good job. So there were a lot of pissed off people in the casino night after night. You would even go in the morning time at like 4 and 5 a.m. and there would still be people in there and you could hardly get a machine. Okay, like no joke. More ports, Carnival. If you're going to do these adults only cruises, and which Carnival's already doing this. We saw where they're going to go out of Galveston some. I think there's a couple other ports. But the Port of Miami is one of the biggest cons on our list. Everyone we talk to is like, we hate Port of Miami. We'd rather go to Orlando, or we'd rather go to Galveston, or we'd rather go to anywhere else literally but the Port of Miami because it was terrible. Okay? Like when we got off the ship, it was like they weren't ready for us and the elevators weren't on. There were like 3 different lines of like people going every which way. TSA, or TSA, the Port Authority or whatever, who like checked, they had to manually check the passports because the facial recognition was down. Was it down or was it just not on? Who really knows? It's like they didn't even know we were coming. Very weird. Poor planning, okay? Port of Miami, do better, all right? The parking situation in Port of Miami, so expensive. So then you have to park off the main. Okay. Let's talk about this. I'm going to share with you because I can't make a whole video about this, but let me tell you where you don't want to park at Port of Miami. It's called Park and Cruise. It's part of We Park Miami. Terrible. I can't even begin. Like, if I start thinking about it, y'all, I threatened to call the police on these people. It was so bad. First of all, no one spoke English. So when you pulled up to park, you were trying to figure out, do I even have the right parking garage? Because there's no signs on where to go. And 3 days before we left for Miami, thank God, I checked the website to try to find a phone number to make sure that everything was good because I'm very OCD like that. And sure enough, a little blurb pops up on the website that says, we've changed locations. Go here. Nobody was going to email me. Nobody was going to call me. Nobody was going to let me know that we had changed whole parking garages. Okay. So we get there and there's no instructions on where to go. I know people have said there's instructions in the email. What email? Okay. So I get there. We're riding around. I have to call the car wash number, like people who'll come wash your car while you're parked there, to come or call them to see where do we go. And he's like, oh yeah, people call all the time. Go all the way up to the top. It's uncovered, by the way. Okay. They don't advertise that. Go all the way to the top, park. So we park, we get out, we go over to where we see the little buses loading now, right? Get over there. Nobody speaks English. The guy's got his phone out, trying to translate. He gives us a ticket. We see half the people going back to their car to put their tickets in their car. Half of them aren't. I'm like, what do we do? He's like, oh, put it in your car. So we put it in our car. 9 days goes by. We get back. Get our ticket out of our dash where we were supposed to have it, according to the guy who didn't speak English. Get down to the bottom of the parking garage. It's a verified stamped ticket saying you've already paid. Put that in. Won't read. Oh, why won't it read? Oh, because it was in the sun for 9 days. Like you told me to put it in my car. Okay. So then we called the people the number on the parking garage. Oh no, you need to call WePark. Okay. Can somebody not just like let us out? Like we can give you the code off the ticket. No, you have to go all the way back up and get them to give you a different ticket or a revalidation code. Sir, there's 6 people behind us waiting to get out of this parking garage. What would you have us do? Back up. We get back up to the top after, 30 minutes of trying to get out of here. Nobody speaks English again. They don't want to give us another code. I'm like, well, how do we get out? Tell me how we get out. Finally, after being called a punta, a guy pulls out a ticket, hands it to us, and we're on our way. Like, we parked Miami. Oh, they gave us this sheet. Everyone else had yellow sheets. And I'm sorry, we all had yellow sheets, but then they started handing out pink sheets. And on the sheet, it says, wave the pink paper. Pink. Says it right there. Pink. Wave the pink paper. And someone will stop to pick you up. They gave us yellow. It was a different address on the yellow paper. Y'all, it was just terrible. Do not ever use them. It was only $96 for 9 days of parking, which isn't bad at all. But I feel like the stress of that was way too much. Way too much. I will never use them again. And quite frankly, the traffic in Miami and the Port Authority in Miami and just how unorganized that was, I never want to go out of Miami again, which sucks because like all the really nice big ships, most of them end up going out of Miami. Yeah. So, another con, and this is just me being really nitpicky. There were a lot of people there on like an elite cruise offer, and they were getting like multiple gifts and stuff like that, which is great, And we did get like this commemorative magnet that was really cool for the cruise, and that's awesome. Like I'm so grateful, so appreciative to have just been there with Carnival, like doing this first ever inaugural sailing. But they sent us this email. If I find the email, I can put it up for you. But it was like getting you so hyped up, like there's going to be new stuff on this cruise and some things are left better as a surprise. And like, so that made you think like you're going to get something, right? It was a lot of hype up and then a little bit of a letdown. Was it fun? Would I do it again? 100% yes. Were there things that they learned from this cruise? I think so. Hopefully they incorporate some improvements and things that people have called upon on their next adults only sailings, or sea sailings as they're calling them, sea sailings exclusively for adults. I feel like they could do better in some areas, but overall, y'all, this cruise was amazing. It was so much fun. Do not forget to check out cruise video and also the ABC Islands video. I want you guys to make sure that, you know, if you're wanting to do Carnival Conquest, let me tell you, before you go watch that video, that is a beautiful ship. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, it's older. It needs some repairs. It is going into a dry dock. That ship is gorgeous. If you like artistic French flair with like some, I don't know, some like Italian theming too, like it's very Art Deco, and like it's beautiful. Matthew and I enjoyed that ship. We also loved that it was smaller. We loved the Jubilee. Going on the Jubilee again in October. Make sure that you watch that video. But Matthew and I both kept saying to each other, we love this ship. We kept seeing people over and over that we had seen at the beginning of our cruise, friends that we made, and it was so much fun. I mean, that's part of the fun of cruising, right? Is like meeting people at the bar that you saw on the first day, making friends, getting to know people. This life is too short to not learn about other people, you know, to not learn about other things. And we had so much fun doing that on this cruise. And I think the size of the ship can lend a helping hand to that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to check out the ABC Islands video and the video of Carnival's Conquest. Y'all, we had a wonderful time. Thank you so much for coming along with us. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like this video, hit that notification bell, and check out our sister channel, Tap That Slots, if you're into gambling content. Love you, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now. Happy sailing!